What's up, y'all, man? Today we're going to be checking out what makes growing up in the 1970s so special. Righty. Now, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. The first thing that came to my mind was music. The music from that era is great. And I gotta say, bro, I grew up in the early 2000s. So I didn't even really know what a pager was until like a few months to a year ago. So, I've seen the little dial thing where it spins and you to dial a number or whatever. I heard they used to have everybody number in a book. Okay. I could go on a whole rant, but we about to hop into this. Let's do it, man.
If you grew up in the 1970s, chances are you had a very different kind of childhood from what kids have today. In the days before helicopter parents, playdates, and participation trophies, there was a generation of kids who grew up with less supervision and more self-reliance. While our parents contended with gas lines, political turmoil, and economic crises, we were riding our bikes with our friends, often miles away from home. We roamed the streets until dark, returning to homes filled with lead paint and secondhand smoke. Over the course of a 1970s childhood, we were going to make some questionable choices, take some risks, get scraped, scratched, and sunburnt, leaving us with both scars and memories we'd carry for a lifetime. Please join me for a return to the days when Tonka trucks were made out of metal and Lego sets didn't require instructions, only imagination. Please join me as we take an authentic look back to see what growing up was really like for kids in the 1970s.
Wow, man. Oh, safety. What
Kids
the?
today are harnessed into booster seats until they're 10 years old and are expected to put on helmets before they get on a tricycle. Let's just say that the generation of parents who raised us were a little less safety conscious. To start with, most of us came home from the hospital wrapped up in a blanket on mom's unbuckled lap. As soon as we learned to crawl, we'd be climbing back and forth over the seats and making ourselves comfortable wherever we felt like. Instead of drop-down video screens and iPads, we amused ourselves with the radio buttons, window cranks, and ashtrays, learning the hard way that the cigarette lighter can still be very hot even if it isn't still glowing red. If your family had a station wagon, sitting in the cargo area was like riding around in a playroom on wheels. Although our family's Caprice estate didn't have the rear-facing third-row seat, it did have a power rear window, which my mom was happy to roll down if we asked.
Wow.
We then proceed to hang out the back, making faces at the cars behind us as we inhaled the leaded fumes drafting back up from the exhaust. If your family didn't have a station wagon, you could always stretch out and relax on the back window deck, watching the telephone wires rise and fall against the sky as they sailed past those endless miles of wooden utility poles.
Yeah, okay. Now, I'm trying to think, like, why aren't people doing this still today? Because you could technically lay up there. I'm assuming back then they must not have had rules on seatbelts and all that. Like, would a kid doing this not get pulled over? Like, you wouldn't get pulled over? Because nowadays, obviously, you would. That's why they don't do it now. But I'm assuming back then they must not have had any kind of regulations on any of that, bruh. That's wild, man.
Endless miles of wooden utility poles. While it would be considered outrageous today, on long car trips, it was the perfect place for a kid to take a nap.
It looked comfy to me.
Us 70s kids learned at a young age to value our freedom. We dreamt of the day we could finally drive a car, with most of us lining up to take our road test the day we turned 16. Until that day, we contented ourselves by playing with any toy we could find that had wheels on it, and there were plenty of options. Family trips to Kmart sometimes led to a treasured new Matchbox or Hot Wheels car that we could race across the kitchen floor or through loops and jumps on those orange segmented tracks. You might park your cars in the Fisher-Price parking garage, the one with the crank-up elevator and the loud bell, or maybe rolled them down the ramps to the multi-level Hot Wheels service center. There were SSP racers, which you'd power by yanking a plastic zipper cord to get the metal flywheel spinning as fast as possible before letting it loose down the sidewalk.
Hey, that kind of looked fun.
The same way you powered smash-up derby cars, which were also from SSP. The Evel Knievel stunt bike was powered by a hand crank built into the launch ramp, and the bendy little Evel Knievel action figure always managed to hang on and stay upright no matter what the terrain. We had electric train sets, slot car tracks, Tonka trucks for the sandbox,
I use
speed
those.
burners that would race across the kitchen floor, and penny racers. And the girls weren't left out. Not only did your sister's Barbie drive a Corvette, she had an RV and dune buggy to boot. But even better than the toy cars were the ones you could ride.
Oh, hey, now I will say some of them things I actually have used. Now Hot Wheels been around for a while. The Tonka is still. I feel like people still use that. Now I feel like a lot of people collect Hot Wheels, like a lot of the really good Hot Wheels and stuff. So that's good to see. Now that the car, this one right here. Hold up, this right here unlocks a crazy memory. I had one of these. I was obsessed with it. I can never get it to fully work the way I want it, but I was obsessed with these things, man. So shout out to y'all if y'all actually use one of these.
Thanks to our favorite role model, Evel Knievel, the life plan of every little boy growing up in the 1970s was as follows. 1. Get a bike.
Evel Knievel.
Preferably a Schwinn Stingray, and if possible, the top-of-the-line crate model with front and rear suspension, disc brakes, and a 5-gear stick shift on the crossbar. 2. Learn how to ride said bike without training wheels. And finally, 3. Become the hero of your neighborhood by jumping your bike over a record number of garbage cans, other kids, or maybe just a big stack of flaming cardboard boxes.
People was doing this for real.
Of course, even Evel had to start somewhere, and so did we. You may remember rolling yourself in circles between the hand-operated wheels of a crazy car, or steering into impressive spinouts, gripping the steering levers of a green machine. There were pedal tractors, pedal cars, and those janky homemade go-karts we hammered together with scrap wood and old lawnmower wheels. But for many 70s kids, myself included, our first taste of real self-propelled freedom was found behind the bright yellow handlebars of the original Marx Big Wheel. Our big wheels ran on pedal power, fueled by imagination. And thanks to all the cop shows we watched, our imaginations had plenty of scenarios to work with.
Aww. I had one of these too, man.
And of course, if you were big wheeling with a buddy, you just needed to decide who was going to be Ponch and who was going to be John.
Ponch and John, who is that?
Introduced in 1969 and made in Pennsylvania, the Marx Big Wheel reigned as the king of America's sidewalks from the early 1970s through the mid-1980s. And while a version of the Big Wheel is still available today, it's just not quite the same as it was in the 1970s.
Yeah, I had something like that. It wasn't a big wheel.
Out of the cities and into the new suburbs that were sprouting up far outside of the metro areas, many of us found ourselves living in neighborhoods right on the edge of large tracts of land that were still undeveloped. Eventually, all of these spaces would be turned into new subdivisions or future roads. But until that happened, us kids just referred to these areas as the woods. Depending on where you lived, your woods might be hiding old rail lines, rock quarries, or even long abandoned houses. Some of these areas had been untouched for decades, so you never knew what you might discover out there. You could be out in the woods hunting the ponds for turtles and tadpoles and come across old tires, ancient washing machines, old car parts, and sometimes even old cars. Of course, thanks to the new houses that were being built everywhere, there was always a ready supply of scrap wood that we scavenged to build hideouts and tree forts back inside. Over time, these little shacks would come to house small stashes of mismatched beer cans, near empty packs of cigarettes, and various weather-worn issues of a popular magazine published by the late Hugh Hefner. You could be out exploring the woods all day, getting into all sorts of potential trouble, but as long as you made it home by dark, your parents never seemed too concerned about what you'd been doing, or even inquire much as to where you had been.
Oh.
All of your first friendships started with the other kids in your neighborhood, and while these may not have been the same kids you'd hang around with at school, Your neighborhood friends were just a doorbell away. That's all that mattered when you were putting together a game of street hockey or backyard baseball. By the way, does anyone else remember what you did when you saw a moving van getting unloaded into one of the houses on your street?
What you do?
You and your friends would just walk right over, ring the doorbell, and ask whoever answered if there were any kids inside who wanted to come out and play.
Yo. Uh yeah. I don't think I've ever seen anybody. Now my dad has a house. I don't think anybody's ever come up there and just knocked on the door or asked like, "Hey, are there any kids here? Let's play," or anything like that. Like, actually, this year I didn't even have nobody come to my house for trick or treating. that's that's how different things are today. It's actually nuts, man. And that to me is something I did as a kid. Even in apartments, we used to buzz we still did that. Even just, I feel like 15 years ago, you would buzz and then like, ask like the parent, like, hey, come on, like, let's play. It's crazy. I recently, it's really in the past 10 years or so, it's really gotten like, it's ramped up where people just don't do it no more. I don't know what happened, man.
Thing is, neighborhoods were just more neighborly in the 1970s. And as a neighborhood kid, you were pretty much welcome to run around and play wherever you wanted, as long as you weren't causing any trouble. Back then, we were taught to be responsible for our own actions. If you got hurt doing something stupid on someone else's property, your parents weren't going to go sue the property owner. They'd just patch you up and tell you to be more careful next time. Back in the days before social media made everybody antisocial, people just seemed to get along better with each other, and they actually knew a lot of their neighbors. I remember one summer when one of our neighbors got a permit from the city to shut down the street for a block party. That day, families up and down the block hauled their picnic tables, folding chairs, charcoal grills, and coolers out into the street. While the adults drank beer and socialized with each other, us kids took advantage of the chance to ride our bikes, big wheels, or roller skates down the middle of the closed-off street.
I hope you guys enjoyed this one, man. I gotta say, hey man, seeing this little clip at the end, though I didn't grow up in the 1970s, I still remember that kid feeling, man, and it was the best, bro. Like, it truly was the best. I did all those things. I used to sit outside and stay outside until the sun went down. Sometimes I stayed out even just a little bit longer. You know what I'm saying? The trouble was worth it because we was having so much fun outside, and really, we weren't even really doing much but finding a ball to play with. I remember there was days you go out and you just randomly start fishing. Like, one of our friends had a fishing rod, so we just tried stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it was some of the best times of my life, man. I can't lie, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I feel sad that some kids these days, especially with these iPads, will never get to experience that, man. But if you did enjoy, leave a like for me. I'm out of here, man. I love y'all. Peace.